box that's called the 3D box. Well, the watercolor bot is a robot that can paint, if you draw a picture on an iPad or on a computer, it can take that information and turn it into an original watercolor painted by a robot. So, it was invented in part by a 12-year-old, I think. What's interesting about this is it is based on the same technology that a 3D printer is based on. It has motors that move the paintbrush back and forth, just like motors move the extruder nozzle back and forth in a 3D printer. But what this lets libraries and us do is it lets us take that same technology and that same sense of wonder that you get from watching a 3D printer print down to a lower age, because everyone can paint a picture. So even our youngest patrons can participate in making something and seeing it reproduced mechanically, and being able to make one for grandma and one for granddad and one for the library too. Also in my box is, just to get the creative juices flowing, can't forget the Play-Doh. Can't forget the acid. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Phyllis.
Okay, I'm Phyllis Davis from the Madison Public Library. And I was tasked with doing the electronics box. And what I was aiming for was finding materials that were durable and reusable to go in the box. And then also, because there are some really awesome electronics tools now, but they're not reusable, I thought, hey, if Brian can do it, I'm going to do it. So the first thing I did was I contacted Sparkfun. These red boxes, you know something good's inside. It always. And so I approached them, and they are very generous. They are very interested in working with libraries. Lara, she hooked me up. She said, just make a wish list. And so I just put together about $3,200 worth of stuff that I really wanted for our project. And she said, you know, we normally give out about $2,000 a month worth of product, but we'll give you both July and August. So we got everything we asked for. So we asked for I asked for 5 of everything for the consumables. So everybody got some of the product here, which includes the holders for the lights or for the batteries, some conductive threads, some conductive paint, on-off switches, and lights. Then we also got some of the more advanced materials to work on, the ProtoSnap, which Andy got to give us a little taste of in June, and the item I'm wearing on my shirt, which is pre-programmed and doesn't work really well, but I'm learning a lot about power and how much power things need. And so we've got all of those things. Everybody got their own. It didn't go in the box. So we're going to tinker with it and decide what works and what doesn't work. They also gave us Inventor's kits, one for each of us, so that we could work with Arduino and play around with it, get familiar with it, and decide what we want to buy. And they've got loyal customers from me anyway. And then they threw in some little bits for us to try. They're beautiful, they're shiny, they're pretty. They're normally $89, and I found that I was very happy I didn't buy them, because one of the kits actually broke a piece of it. See that long wire? It broke the first time that a kid used it. So I was not real happy with that. But I was happy with snap circuits, which I know you've seen before. I contacted Dan at Ellen Co. Dan is the guy you're going to call. He hooked me up with $17 kits, that 100 experiments kit, $17 a kit. So I bought 12 kits so we could have classes of 24 kids working together through projects. And then he threw in the lights and the sound kits, the big giant kits, for free, just for the business. So they're also really interested in working with libraries. And then I went and I wanted to have something for the youngest children, so I purchased the squishy circuits. Well, actually, if you're not familiar with squishy circuits, it's basically a conductive Play-Doh that you make yourself at home with 2 recipes. One is for the insulator, one is for the conductor. You use them together, and then you can buy these components, and I liked going from them It's actually run by a grad student from the school that developed the dough. And these materials are nice and big for little hands, so that's why I chose these. So now I'm going to show you some of the things that went on at my library. I'm really a big person and really a big fan of branding. So we branded our program MakerBox Saturdays, one Saturday a month. People come to my library to try different things, and for the first one we did our electronics box. And so here's our squishy circuits, and you can see up in the corner we've got high school girls who they fought to volunteer because they were so excited about running the squishy circuits. And that young man was so angry because his little sister got the thing to light before he could. So the little bits in action with Mom, you can see we had whole families come in. We were averaging about 40 people per session. This was one of our most popular events, and we have an Andy at our library who's in charge of computers, and he had been collecting stuff for us, and he collected a whole mess of keyboards and well, you can see the table, all kinds of things, and the kids loved it. We just gave them screwdrivers, and they took everything apart to see how they worked, what was inside of it. Andy even garbage picked for us. If you saw in the movie, there was a Power Wheels, a green Power Wheels, and the teenagers were trying to get it to work again. So it was a great thing to have. The second one we had, I didn't have an official box because we were waiting for some things to come in. So I had to wing it, so we decided to do textiles. I found this awesome project for weaving using recycled t-shirt yarn and the hula hoops to make rugs. So we did that, and we had lots of things to sew, to do practice sewing. And I also threw in the extra project with some of the basic e-textiles, the conductive thread, doing a basic parallel circuit. So they were learning about the difference between parallel circuits and series circuits and how much power you need. And it was wonderful. I mean, you can see that in this picture, their dad is showing his little daughter how to do it, and Mom's over there with her daughter. So families were really involved in this project, and we plan to do it for the rest of the school year. And we also threw in our We Do's. It's just a plug for the We Do's because we do teach classes and We Do's, and we wanted to have stuff down for the parents to see what else we had for their kids. The last story I wanted to tell you, Lego's We Do is the elementary level of the Lego education product for robotics. It's a much simpler thing, but they're much more affordable than like the next step, those awesome, the Mindstorms. I wanted to end with this particular slide because this family I hadn't seen in the library before at any of my programs, and there was Mom with two daughters and a son, and I went up to them and I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. It's good to see you in the library. Are you enjoying yourself making stuff?" And I asked them, do you guys like doing making things as a family? And he just looked at me like, this is a new experience for us. And I was like, wow, a new experience for us. We've never made anything before together. So to me, I thought, wow, that's why we're doing this project. Kids don't get to stop and make things, and families don't get the opportunities to make things together. So it's working really well at my library, and it could work really well at your library too. And now, Karen.
I put together a MusicBox, and what's in it is a Casio mini keyboard. There's a Korg monotribe synthesizer, which is both a synthesizer and drum sequencer. There's the Korg K-oscillator 2, which I brought with me. It has like 150 different sound samples that you can loop on top of each other, so I'll play a quick. Can you hear that? So. Then there's also an automaton, which is just this wacky Japanese musical instrument. If you'd like to kill an hour, you can go on YouTube and type in automaton. I'm pretty partial to the Game of Thrones cover. We also have a Macala Dolphin ukulele, a Meinl egg shaker set, and there's a Zoom H2N recorder and accessories, and it's just a small handheld recorder. I've found it very easy to use. It records as an MP3, and then you can connect it to a computer with a USB cord, and you can put that MP3 wherever you want. And because I have instruments, I have accessories. There are 2 packs of ukulele strings. There's a Snark all-instrument tuner, which will work for the ukulele or any other instruments that might be around. There's a Casio wall adapter for the keyboard. There's a memory card for the recorder. I've got batteries and, of course, the container to put it all in. So far, we've done a couple of programs with our teens. There was an open music session. We just had the kids come in and jam with the instruments. We also extended the offer of recording any of their masterpieces. We had a kid come in with a violin. He didn't want to play with any of the other instruments. He just wanted us to record him playing a solo. So we did, and he left with a nice sounding MP3 on a flash drive. We also did a make your own ringtone program. That's what that picture's from. Again, the kids just kind of came in and jammed, and we recorded it as an MP3, and once you've got an MP3, you can make a ringtone for just about any smartphone. I also extended use of the MusicBox to our children's departments. So we had a couple of librarians who work with tweens in 3rd through 5th grade. They did a Library Explorers after-school program, and they kind of taught the kids a little bit about sound waves, and then just kind of had them play with the instruments. We also did a Curious Kids program for kids in K through 2. Overall, it went pretty well, although we did have some issues with sharing or lack thereof. Overall, I'm pretty happy with what we bought, but there's one thing I might have done differently. Instead of the Korg Mono Tribe, which is a very cool instrument, on YouTube there's all these people doing really cool things with it, but it does take a little more time to learn how to use well than you might have in the average library program. And also I found that kind of the teens and other staff members were sort of scared to touch it. I don't know if they think it looks expensive or what. So I might have gotten a Korg Monotron, which is its little brother kind of, and it looks like a toy. People aren't scared of it at all. They just immediately start picking it up and start playing with it, and makes a lot of the same wacky noises. And also our children's department let us borrow their huge Jawbone Jam box, and it's pretty awesome, but at $300 the big one is a little too expensive for the box, so I might have picked up one of these smaller Jam box speakers, which as you can see ranges from $113 to $150 depending on what color you get. And I'll hand it off to Anne-Marie, who's going to tell you about her craft box.
Okay, so in thinking of what kind of box I wanted to make, I work primarily doing youth programming, and something that I notice is that with the emphasis on technology, it's so rapidly changing and evolving, that a lot of the children that would come to my programming, they really don't have the exposure to just basic arts and crafts because funding is cut in school, or parents at home don't emphasize or have the resources to do crafts with the children. And another thing that I also noticed is that because the children are so engaged in technology, they really lack patience and ingenuity and creativity when it comes to doing just basic arts and crafts projects. So in making my box, I decided that I was going to put a little bit more basic type of craft items. So, the markers, the crayons, pencils, glue, scissors, the types of things that immediately come to mind when you're going to do any type of crafts for yourself or with children. And I intentionally wanted the box to be low-tech because it's just as important to be able to do the various crafts to develop hand-eye coordination and just to foster the creativity within the children where it's not given to them, via technology all the time. So in my box, I also wanted to get some items that my library did not readily have on hand in order to develop or propose new programming that maybe we wouldn't have to look for outside sources to come in and help us with. So in the bottom left corner is a Sizzix machine, and that's basically it double duties as a die cutter, so like an Ellison die, as well as an embosser, so it'll put texture to paper. And when I purchased that, I also had to purchase in the top left corner our embossing dies and the regular dies as well that cut out the shapes. I bought some decorative hole punches, some glitter, glue, multicolored cardstock, some scrapbooking paper, stickers. And my hope for that is that we can offer possibly scrapbooking 101 classes for adults and for children to teach the patrons how to collect and organize memories or special milestones or important life events in a really unique and interesting way, and be able to show other people in their family or their friends what types of things they've done throughout their life. Also, like with holidays coming, my intention with the embossing part of that machine is to be able to do card making classes, so they can make their own unique cards for special celebrations and different occasions and holidays. So continuing with that, I also included a sewing machine in my box. We recently started we have an outside person come in, and they're doing a Sewing 101 class with young ladies age 11 and up. And initially it was scheduled to be a 6-week course. They'd come once every Saturday for 6 weeks. But there's been so much enthusiasm and so much positive feedback that we've extended it for 3 extra weeks for the girls. So in getting the sewing machine, I purchased the different notions like thread, bobbins, needles, scissors, cutting board. I put felt, fabric remnants, embellishments such as lace, ribbon, sequins, buttons in the machine. And I also included the rainbow loom kit. And if you're not familiar with that, right now the big thing is the kids are making bracelets made out of little rubber bands, and they can make them as elaborate as they'd like. So I included some of those kits, and hopefully I'll add to that. I have 2 of them in my box for now just to start with. My hope is that with the sewing class that I mentioned, that we can piggyback on that enthusiasm with that program, possibly to offer mother-daughter sewing classes, or like a generation sewing class where grandmothers or great-grandmothers can sew with their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. Also, just to know how to learn how to sew easy things. I'm trying to think of more ways to get boys to be able to come in, and I think it's just a matter of wording. Phyllis, what did you say you guys called those bracelets you guys made? Power bands. So I figure if I do a program like that, I can get boys in there to also learn how to sew. So it doesn't seem such a girly program. And they can still learn the simple concept of how to sew things. Also wanting to do fashion courses with the girls. There's a lot of girls that come in that want books where they can learn how to mimic some of the things that they see in the stores and be able to put their own unique spin on doing stuff with clothing. So if we have a sewing machine available, it's the opportunity to introduce them to the sewing and also to help them hone their skill and be able to be unique and creative with that. Also, the possibility that we can maybe offer open sessions where if you're working on your own project, you can just come in and use the machine on your own. And if the interest continues, it can justify purchasing additional machines that we can have available to do other programming and to offer open time for people to work on their projects. And then lastly, I just put some pictures of some of the kids doing different projects. Doing just basic sketching, some of the story times where the children are utilizing some of the craft items. Lastly, my box, what I intend on having in it is to include a binder that would have the instruction manuals for the various machines, a content list, and then also simple sewing and craft projects that would serve as an inspiration. My hope is that as the box circulates within our libraries, that the other people that use it will go on ahead and add their ideas for programming and for projects, so that as it goes along, if you kind of don't know, it'll just keep growing and you can just keep adding to it or get inspiration from it. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amber.
Thank you. STEM, 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 yeah. Okay, so my box is the STEM box. And what's really exciting, we have, all my stuff is hands-on. The kids actually build the different experiments. As you see, Ridgeway has a boop, ping pong ball launcher. Wah, wah. No, it actually does shoot. And what's great is that the kids can practice, like, they can change it so the trajectory.
Trajectory.
What he said. Done. Okay. So now that you've all laughed, right, and we're awake, yay. We have Planko. What's really cool is we have these three, I know, so we blow bubbles, and they're all spheres, right? They're three-dimensional, but did you know you can make a square bubble or a pyramid bubble? Okay, you guys are smarter than me. So Andy's up here, yes, I knew that. There's also a Rube Goldberg kit in here that the kids can go ahead and make. So there's lots of fun stuff. Of course, there's goggles and all the tools that you need. And what I love about this project the most is that we all went back to our libraries, we talked to our community reps, and we decided what was most important for our communities. And what's great is that we're all going to benefit because these boxes are going to come visit each one of our libraries over the next 5 months. So, what is next for MakerBox? Well, I'm going to tell you what's next. What next? Okay, so we are going to be writing for a IMLS Sparks Innovation Grant because we think this is an important project that we should implement statewide. So we'd like to try and get Rails involved, get Heartland, maybe CPL, because they're a system too, right? So and try and do this throughout the state. This box weighs 100 pounds. So my suggestion would be that it would be half this, you know, like it wouldn't be quite as big, and we'd have more of the bigger items, like the 3D printers that people can come and try at their library. And another thing that we have is we have a Tumblr site. Go ahead, Anne-Marie. You just switch over. So each one of these boxes, yeah. Each one of these boxes comes with a binder, and we have this Tumblr. And the idea is that when people get a box, they put in the program that they've done at their library. So we're getting a record of what's happening, and that other people can learn from that record and go on and prosper. So we presented at ILA, on the front lines. And we'll be at PLA. So we just want to go out and show other states that you can do this too, and that's our message. So if we can go back to, Ridgeway has something to say. First, okay, yeah. So we have questions? I'm sorry. Whoa, yes. Yes, and we have thank you. I want to thank library, printer, Tina. Her name is Tina. Yeah, your name is Tina. Yeah. I was not a cheerleader. Okay. Questions? So what is the value of the boxes and what happens if you lose the stuff? Well, the values of the boxes are approximately $800 a piece. Though because we got donations, some of them are more. If something goes lost, we don't have any additional money, so the box will just be missing pieces. If we did get the grant, I think we would house additional pieces, because you know, like when you have stuff that goes missing in your library, you sometimes have backup things that you can just throw in there. So that would be something that we would add. Thank you. How did we get the 3D printer for free, and is it?
I asked nicely. So they were actually launching that model of 3D printer right as I asked. So they were looking to get it out there. The only thing they asked us to do is put out a press release or put something up that tells people that we're using the printer about simple. The reason why I can't get it to work is because I just changed libraries and my new library computer is locked down and I can't install the driver that I need. And I'm trying not to use a lot of personal hours to get the printer working. and I can rely upon the expertise of the rest of my group members to see what their experience is. Did you have something to say? Yeah. That one came in a kit. It looked like a jigsaw puzzle when I got it. So it was flat. It fit in a box about the size of like 2 hardcover books. So I put it together, but I can't. The computer part, it's the software that's giving me trouble. Other questions? Sina. Mm-hmm. So we're going to hire you to do that program. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Both of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'd be great. Do you have one you can give us? But I asked nicely. I saw several. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. Is that a maybe or a yes?
I think that's an individual library question, but that's something that at Arlington Heights we have science kits that we do circulate. So I think definitely yes, that's something that I'd like to add as a budget add-on. I don't see how the grant could support that, but I think libraries should definitely do it. Lock picking kits, yes.
And I'm going to be using it when it comes to my library for training staff, just so they're familiar with it, because we're at a different stage than Arlington Heights with doing maker activity and with locks. Yeah. We also have 2 things. One, we have fun things up here. Please come up and take a peek at them if you'd like. And even more importantly, Andy has a question. That's even more important, but even more importantly than that, we have a project for you guys to do. So you guys can make a light up card right here. So we're going to pass those out. Okay. And Andy?
I was just going to ask, when that thing has a catastrophic literal meltdown, when the extrusion gets caught in the thing,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do troubleshooting with that? How are you planning on doing that? Are you going to be the resource for it?
I think the idea is that the people that have it before will be a resource, so at least you won't be without a paddle. You'll be able to call the people. But since I haven't gotten to work, I can't do it. So if it's a MakerBot, I can probably fix it. But if it's that one, I can't fix it because I can't even get it to work in the first place. So.
I'm taking it home though, so we've got somebody at my library that's going to try to get it going. So.
Yeah, and the thing is too, if this goes out, maybe we'll find someone who's really good at this particular kind of 3D printer versus. It's 4:30. Are we getting the hook? Yeah. We're getting the crook. So